Hey, if you're looking to create a balance sheet for a SaaS company, then you've come to the right place. We have created a SaaS balance sheet template built specifically for software as a service companies. And I'm going to show you how to fill that out today. Before I do, my name's Adam Hixema. I'm the co-founder of ProjectionHub. And over the last 10 years, we've helped about 50,000 entrepreneurs create financial projections for potential investors and lenders. And today we're specifically focused on our software as a service balance sheet template, which is free, and you can download this Excel file by going to the link in the description of the video below, and then follow along and fill it out for your particular use case. If you are looking to create a full set of financial projections, a 5-year projection maybe for a potential investor, then we do have kind of full custom financial models for different types of SaaS companies, and we'll link to that in the description of the video below as well, so you can check those out. All right, let's dive in. So the first thing you need to know about this template is that any cell that's highlighted in blue is an assumption that you can change. And what we've done with this template that's a little bit unique is we have, instead of just providing you a template with the fields that you need to fill out on the balance sheet, we actually are asking you plain English questions. You answer those questions, and then we take your answers and put them in the right spot on the balance sheet so that hopefully you're more likely to end up with a balance sheet that actually is accurate and hopefully balanced at the end of the day. So what we're going to do here is just answer these specific questions here. So how much cash do you have in all company bank accounts? That's pretty straightforward. How much cash do your customers currently owe you? So for a SaaS company, this might be 0 because you're probably charging your customers up front before they use the product. What dollar amount of expenses have you paid for upfront that you haven't used yet? So this could be deposits on lease or utilities for an office or something like that. It could also be paying upfront for annual contracts. And then do you have any other assets, stocks, bonds, things that you could easily sell in the next 12 months? Fixed assets, again, these are, often SaaS companies will have very little or no fixed assets or asset light typically. But you can see here, you can read through machinery, equipment, furniture and fixtures. If you're leasing space, what have you paid to improve that space? If you own any land or buildings as a business, you can enter that in here as well. And then any other fixed assets on your balance sheet. So I'm going to actually jump back up here and just enter in a few things here. So let's say we've got $11,000 in cash. Customers don't owe us anything. Maybe I spent $5,000 on some deposits for utilities and rent. And okay, then other assets. So if you are a more established SaaS company, you probably have some intangible assets on your balance sheet, or you probably should. This may be something you want to talk to a CPA about. There's also an article, a really helpful article from Barometrics that I've linked to that talks about intangible assets for SaaS companies in kind of more detail than we can probably get into for this video. But if you have intangible assets, you're probably beyond the point of using a free balance sheet template like this. And so you're probably at the point where you might need a CPA, and you should probably be doing your bookkeeping, and at least in QuickBooks or something like that. So the next thing here we have is what dollar amount of customer deposits are you currently holding? So if you do require any customer deposits, we want to know that here. And then the value of goodwill on your balance sheet. Again, this is probably an ask your accountant question. If you don't know the answer to this, it's probably, if it's not 0 and you don't know the answer, then I'd recommend asking your accountant. I'm going to leave those at 0 because I think most of the folks using this template are probably going to have zeros in there. All right, current liabilities. How much do you currently owe vendors, suppliers, contractors? So let's say we owe $10,000 to some vendors. How much do we owe in unpaid taxes? Maybe we have $2,500. Paid taxes. How much you owe in short-term loans that you'll have to pay off in less than 12 months. Let's say we've got a credit card with $2,500 on it. And then this is a little trickier. How much will you have to pay in the next 12 months on any long-term loans? So do you have any long-term loans? You want to know what amount do you have to pay in principal over the next 12 months. All right, then this is, again, something very specific to SaaS companies is deferred revenue. Maybe I shouldn't say very specific, but SaaS companies often have deferred revenue. And so this is the value of customer payments that have been paid in advance that you have not fulfilled yet. So for example, if you're selling 12-month contracts and you have a customer that's 6 months of the way through the contract, let's say it's a $1,000 contract and you're 6 months through, that means you've earned half of the revenue. So you've earned $500 worth of revenue, but you have deferred revenue of $500, the other half. And that is what you want to enter in here as deferred revenue. Now, this is tricky. If you have lots of customers and lots of annual contracts, this is going to be complicated to calculate. And so again, you may want to look at using a software like Barometrics is a tool that helps calculate deferred revenue. So Again, if you have a lot of annual contracts, again, this is probably the point where you probably should talk to a CPA and to really nail this down correctly. So I'm going to say, hey, we've got one customer, and we just have our first customer on an annual contract for $1,000, and we're halfway through. So we're going to say $500 in deferred revenue. Now, long-term liabilities, say we don't have any long-term loans. We're just going to leave these as 0. And then how much has been invested into the business? Let's put, $50,000 we've invested. And then cumulative profit so far. So retained earnings, this is the cumulative profit or loss of the business since inception. And so let's say that is, a lot of times SaaS starters might have a negative to start out with. So let's put a negative number in here. And then this year we've generated $5,000 in profit so far. All right, so now here we see moment of truth. Let's see if it balances. So I can almost guarantee you this will not balance. And that is kind of the point, is that if you're trying to use a template to fill out a balance sheet, it's unlikely that it's going to balance. It's what we normally see, is that balance sheets don't balance, and that's where people run into trouble. I'm going to go ahead and kind of prove this point here. Let's see. Yep, balance sheet does not balance. And so right here it says balance sheet not balancing. Watch these tips in this video. If you click the link in the template here, it'll send you to a portion of the video where I give you some troubleshooting. But here's the short of it. A balance sheet, the assets, total assets, right here, we have total assets of 16,000, must equal total liabilities and equity. They must balance. That's why it's called a balance sheet. Assets must equal total liabilities and equity. And so if they don't, your balance sheet is not balanced. Now, there could be all sorts of reasons why the balance sheet is not balanced, and we'll get more into that in watching those tips. But I wanted to point that out. Those must be balanced. If they're not, if you have questions about that, you can reach out to us, support@ProjectionHub.com. We can try to help troubleshoot for you as well. But you may have filled something out wrong if it's not balancing. So the other thing I would just mention again here, if you need a projected balance sheet, you're really going to need to create a full set of projections in order to get a projected balance sheet. And so we have a number of SaaS financial projection templates that you can use, and we'll link to those as well. So with that, I hope this has been helpful. Make sure that your balance sheet balances assets must equal liabilities plus owner's equity. So with that, good luck, and hope you found this helpful. Thanks.